Welcome to episode 7, the Anarchystang's back.
Right, so this is my 1969 Mustang Fastback, fitted with an E63 AMG bi-turbo engine out of a 2012 car. This car was last actually seen in episode 3 when we took it on a bit of a road trip to Birmingham and threw it on the dyno, making over 700 horsepower. Next job is going to be, I'm actually going to fit the rear seats before I pull this thing to bits. So the rear seats need to go in, but more importantly, I'm actually going to put some cross braces across the back as well. That'll actually tie it from the inner arches all the way down to the boot floor as well, which is somewhat E-class underneath. As well, I'm going to mount these from the back through the actual tethering points here and here, and then I'm going to bolt the two rear seats together as well, so it'll be nice and strong. Now the thing is, which I'm not sure what to do with, is actually through here. Now these are going to have harnesses in the back to make sure my kids have got somewhere to go, and obviously they're safe as well. So I need to actually cut through here, fabricate it and make it look pretty as well. Right guys, so you've seen me actually try these seats in the back. The one thing I may not have actually said to anybody is, these seats are actually not built for a Mustang. So these seats are actually out of an A-class Mercedes, and I'm going to modify them to fit. The reason I went for them is they're a really similar style, but a bit more modern, and they've got a bit more of a bolster on them as well, which is great obviously for the extra power we're putting through this, and for that kind of daily thing, so they're not going to be back breaking. With the rears, I want to put these crossbars in, and that will actually hold everything together, because I want my kids to be able to go in this. That's a really important thing for this car, because again, I know I keep saying it, because this is a daily, it's got to be practical as well as powerful. So I'm going to start putting some crossbars in here, look at how I can mount the seats, and then I'm going to put some secondary ones which will hold the seat belts in as well. Because I want the kids to be able to go in this without a booster. That's my main aim with this. Now, because of the age of this car, they don't actually need a seat belt in it, which is crazy in the modern day and age. So what my plans are to give them a 4-point harness in the back, and then they'll have it all the way through the seats, and they'll be absolutely secured in, and I'm going to make it to fit their own sizes for now. Once they grow, once they get bigger, I'll actually just change the seating and make it so it can fit an adult in. So I want them to be able to use this straight away, which is, yeah, massive thing for this. So that's it, first bar welded in, all the way around the edge as well. What I'm actually going to do is just now linish all the way around, just get rid of some of that spatter, tidy everything up, and I'm going to try the seats back on it. So from my measurements, the seat back will sit against this, in which case then I can actually make a little bolt to bolt the back of the seats onto it, so they should fix to this. Then I'm going to put a secondary bar down the back, which is going to be for the harnesses, and that will obviously loop through. And then I'm going to link them down to the floor as well. So this will give the actual E-class floor, which is in the back here, and obviously wrap around the original chassis legs, a bit more strength, and everything's tied together as well. So I want this rear bit where my kids are going to be sat to be the strongest part of the car. Here we go then, we've got today's job. So today I'm actually going to be marking out the holes to put my scoop on. Now this is a original Mach 1 hood scoop. Now this car is as well an original Mach 1. So what I've got to do is actually cut the holes through the bonnet to mount this. Now, the interesting thing about these bonnets are they do 2 bonnets for these. One is completely smooth, as you'll see here, for a standard 69, or they do another one with a big hole in the middle, which is for the shaker hood. So with this, you've got to cut the holes through it. Now this is really interesting because it's got 2 extra repeaters on the back of it, but these scoops are actually non-functioning, which is really interesting. Now, again, as I say, this is an original Mach 1 car. When I actually pulled this to bits here, I had the original bonnet on it, which had no holes cut through it. So I know by not cutting the holes through, I'm keeping this car more original.
I've already made a stencil for it, which is as seen. So what I'm going to do is actually stick this down, measure from the back, bring it up to the right length, and then pop it on. Well, there we go, guys, that is the scoop on. I've had to enlarge the holes a few times. I was trying to be a bit mean with the sizing on it. Big thank you to the Mustang forums though, because they told me where this needed to be located from the back as well. And if you are wondering, it is 4 inches from the centre back bolt hole to the back of the edge. I'm quite surprised actually how far back it sits, but now it's on, it all makes sense and it looks absolutely amazing.
Right, time for some bumper modifications. So, this is the original bumper. I've had this sandblasted as well with the rest of the car. So, when this sits on, as you can see, it sits a little bit further away from the body line, and it also sits a little bit further down. So the plan is, I'm going to weld these grub screws up on the back. I'm then going to cut the bracket up. I'm going to flip the bracket, so that'll push the bumper into the body line, give it a really slick look on the outside. That's all the bumper tucked up then. So I've actually got the brackets, flipped them over as I said before, brought them in as well and welded them on. Now the bolt holes, I've actually welded the nut into them, the captive nut, flushed those off, and then the corners, I've cut little pressure marks in, brought them in and then re-welded them up and skimmed it off. Really, really pleased with it. As you can see now, the body lines really flow all the way round and on the sides as well. Absolutely chuffed.
Right then, so the time has come to start stripping the car down, as we said in the last episode, which is great news because we're going to be getting it that bit closer to completely being finished and get it all nicely painted.
Yep, so the plan for this evening is bonnet off, wings off, doors off, rear vents off, and then all of that can go to the body shop. Yep. So yeah, next stage, let's get it on. Hi guys, it's come to that time now where we need to disconnect all the brake lines. Now, we've already bled all of the brakes once. Now, rather than risk the master cylinder and the ABS, what we're going to do is get a cable tie or an elastic band, some plastic or a rubber glove. And then what you do is you seal the master cylinder off. So take your cap off the top, get your glove and your cable tie, you pop it over the top, and then you cable tie around the edge. That means that no air will be sucked in. So once it kind of creates a vacuum within the master cylinder, you won't lose any more fluid. Now when we first disconnect the brake lines, it will lose a bit till it creates a vacuum, but we won't lose the whole system and we won't have to bleed any more than what's in the lines again. There we go, she's on the floor. Rather depressing, but it's back out. It's another step forward for us.
Yeah, good news is as well, it's come out super, super easy, which is obviously just a credit to the whole idea of how we were gonna put it in and take it out of the car. Also, it's all there for the first time ever as well, which is just even more of a good statement, isn't it?
Yeah, so by that we mean we've actually managed to leave all of the water system on the front, all of the air conditioning, and all of the radiator cooler on the front. So, No change of fluids, no bleed in the system, everything is connected. So that's how we really planned from the start to be able to do this. So we've actually nailed this out in 2 hours, which we're really pleased at. I know some people probably say you could do it faster, but we've really taken our time. We haven't broken anything, and everything's absolutely brilliant. And all of the fluids are still in it. That is a really big bonus. So
It's actually the way the Mercedes would do it as well, so woohoo! They can do it, so who can win?
right, so next plan is we're going to go and have a bit of a tidy up. We're going to get rid of this out of the way, and then it's time to clean up all of the fabrication and all of the bits and bobs we've done, because we don't like these inner arches. These are getting changed. We're not happy with the bar here. We're actually going to run it all the way down to here. So we're going to cut this bar out, and we're going to run a new bar down to here to create triangulation for the top of the struts.
Yeah. So we've got loads more fabrication to do. Like Slater said, I'm going to start fabricating some more panel work and everything to go in here, and then we're going to be working back onto the inside, or the underside I should say, of the car, and nailing off some more of the bits and bobs that we wanted to get done, obviously following it being the initial dry build. So like Slater said, we're a little bit depressed that it's back out, but we're just making that extra bit of room for it to become the next massive big thing, so happy days.
So the plan today, I'm actually going to be cleaning around the back of the cross member and the inside of the chassis legs. There was a bit more plating to do. I didn't rush forward with it because I've been kind of chopping little edges off and trimming little bits just to get the radiator pack in the front. So today is lots of cleaning around the edges, make some plates up and weld all of the front back round. That's all the cleaning up down the front for now. I'm going to actually start plating it in a few minutes, but what I want to check is actually how the bonnet's going to fit. So the bonnet will go on, but I need to check where the hinges are going to sit to get my actual height, and also mount them into my smooth bay. So fingers crossed I don't have to manipulate these sides too much, and we can get this mounted today. So these are my reproduction hood hinges. So what I'm going to do is bolt these to the underneath of the bonnet, and then line the holes up to mount them, and then hopefully I can get a swing on it. Now the tricky bit's going to be, because I've smoothed the engine bay so much, it's going to be whether I can actually just drill a hole and weld the captive knot on the back, or whether I've actually got to move the smooth wall in a bit, remake it, and then rebolt them on. So I've made little cuts down into the sidewall, bent them back, mounted the hinges, so I've been climbing underneath the bonnet and mounting the hinges. So I've got a nice flat plate down, I've then plated it across as well to give it that strength, and I'm going to plate the sides in as well. I'm just going to check that the bonnet actually fits before I do any more welding and fabrication, and make sure it actually opens and closes smoothly as well. So that's it, bonnet hinges are now in. Really pleased with how they've gone in. I'll just show you obviously them working as well. It may seem a real trivial thing to have an opening and closing bonnet, but this has never opened and closed since I've owned the car. As soon as I got the car home, it actually broke in half, the bonnet from the original frame. It was rotted all the way back to here. I just wanted to open it to see the engine, and it split from the frame because it was that rusted. So it's had new hinges, everything's working for the first time, absolutely chuffed to bits. Right, so today is the first day of getting some paint onto the car, or at least prepping it. So this is Chris. Chris has come over, he's built a couple of nice cars himself as well, and he's getting involved with this for us. He's also painted the bumpers, fronts, front light surrounds, wings, doors,
bonnet hinges.
Bonnet hinges, there we go, yeah. So yeah, we're now cracking on with the engine bay. So we're doing it obviously here because it means that we can take the engine out. Any pearls of wisdom for us?
Not really, no.
So yeah, as well we're going to try and talk Chris in later episodes into painting the zombie, so hopefully you'll see him again with that. We're going to try and film Chris doing it a bit as well. Obviously he's not going to be as brilliant in front of the cameras as we are, but we'll try and capture him doing this, and you'll get to see his paintwork afterwards as well. Secretly, yes. Big day for the Anarchystang today. So what I'm actually going to do is wheel the engine back over underneath it. I've wrapped it all the way around the inner arches and then up to the front seats as well. So then I'm going to mask and tape around the engine bay, put it underneath hopefully without scratching anything or damaging anything, and then we're all ready to go to move on to the rear end. Right, so we've just finished masking the car up. Chris is obviously a lot better at this than I am. We've turned the whole place into a bit of a crime scene as well, so there's sheeting everywhere, but obviously to stop any overspray. So Chris is now going to put some primer on it for us.
Yeah, so it's all done now, ready for primer. So we'll give it 4, possibly 5 coats just to get that build up really, and then flat it all back down again, prep it all then for the top coat, and then should be a good one then.
So here is the Anarchystang in primer for the first time. This is a proper 5 coats of high build primer on this, and then the zebra effect we've got on it is actually a guide coat. So Chris has done a wonderful job of this, but now with the guide coat he'll know that he's actually sanded down the whole car again. We're in a stage now where he's waiting 3 or 4 days for it to go hard properly. Obviously we're not in a booth here, so we're making sure it's gone properly off before he does the sand to put paint on. Now the job I'm on today as well is I'm actually doing a couple more repairs underneath and a couple of bits I couldn't get to because the rear axle was in. So I've dropped out the rear axle, doing the plates, and I'm going to paint the underneath with Raptor.
Yeah, so we've only been using Raptor very recently, haven't we?
Yeah.
But it's been absolutely perfect for what we needed. So we've been just, like Mike said, getting through everything, getting everything coated nice and neatly. So once he's finished with that, we're going to roll the axle back around with this nice new quaif in it. And then we're going to be getting that back all fitted nicely, and then we can get the whole car down on the floor for the first time in quite a while now, onto the axle stands, and then Chris is going to be coming back to get that final paint job done.
Look at that. Yeah, that's quite impressive actually, isn't it? Wow. It's definitely Ferrari yellow, isn't it? Well done, Chris, thank you. Yeah. There we go, all painted. Absolutely can't believe this car is mine right now. So yeah, all painted. Massive thank you to Chris Edwards, who's come over and bless him, persevered painting this in my garage. That meant I could obviously take the axles out and stuff to do it as well. Now the car has gone hard over a week as well, so the paint's gone properly off. I've then come in and put this kind of sticky back plastic on it. This is called crash wrap. Now it's sticky on one side and it's a basic thick polythene. Now it comes off just as easy as it goes on as well, so it's great for basically rebuilding a car. Now the whole car is wrapped in it, and I've wrapped all of the components as well, so it's all ready. Let's get this thing back together. So that's it, the dash is now in. Now a couple of things just to tell you about. I've got a little couple of favourite bolts on this. Now, one of which is underneath the glove box, or where the glove box would be, and the other one is behind the dials here. The reason they're my favourite bolts, I can literally put 2 bolts in and the whole dash will hold in place. Now, the reason those are like my favourite bolts and so important, with doing something like this, obviously the wires have all had to have different routes and different places to go. So as I put things back in, the dash will have to come on and off probably a few times. So those 2 are my favourite bolts because I can just unscrew them, the whole dash comes off, and I can put it all back together. So that's it. Wings are on, doors are on, and we've just had our decal guy leave as well, so he's put the stripes on, which we absolutely love. I've actually just fired it up for the first time as well, and I'll tell you now, I have missed the sound of this car, something rotten. So next stage is get the grills in and get it actually out and driving.
Right then guys, so after all that hard work, the car's finally finished.
So here we go, time for the big unveiling. You don't think we're going to leave it there, do you? Right, so that's it, end of episode 7.
Do you think that's crazy? Just wait for the next episode.